Hello and welcome to...
Sorry. Kill me. I'll set it on my lap. I was just so ready.
All right. Hello and welcome to PizzaMyHeart with... Oh, wow. We never even introduced ourselves in the last episode.
You know what? They'll just have to figure it out.
My name is Evan.
I'm Katie. I'm sorry.
And we will today review two things. One of them will be the album Slow Buzz by the band Remember Sports. I don't think there's a question mark in it. I think it's just Remember Sports.
Just remember sports. Previously known as sports.
Yeah.
Gotta stop playing with this fork.
Please put the fork away.
It's going up my sleeve.
And the reason there is a fork,
It's fine. Everything is fine.
The reason there is a fork is because we also review instant foods, and today we are going to be talking about and consuming.
Oh, tofu scramble.
This is Amy's gluten-free tofu scramble breakfast wrap. It is also dairy-free and made with organic tofu, hash browns, and vegetables. And I've had Amy's breakfast things before, but never one that is tofu.
I've had lots of
gluten-free.
Amy's things before, but never an instant burrito.
And I've had some gluten-free stuff, and as someone who can consume gluten fine, I'm pretty sure, it's not great.
Depends. I've had really good gluten-free pastas before.
Okay.
I've had plenty of things that are like, if you're like with someone or like hanging out with friends that like are legitimately super allergic to gluten and are also similarly amazing cooks.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you can...
my friend HT, oh my God. So she makes things that are so good without gluten. But if I went to a store and bought something that was gluten-free.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, not the same.
It's just, you're not getting quite the same consistency that you're expecting. It's not necessarily bad, it's just different and often chewier. And I think when it comes to a breakfast wrap, chewier is not really what you want. You want it just to be in your mouth and then down out of your mouth as soon as possible.
I'm going to be very honest.
Yeah.
I touched the wrapper and gagged earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really looking forward to this. My stomach is doing somersaults. But I'm going to try it. And then afterwards, I get to talk about a really cool band that has a really cool album. And that's hopefully going to make me feel better.
I got myself a Pepsi, a nice Mexican Pepsi, just because I knew that this wasn't going to be good. So I had to have something enjoyable to consume immediately afterwards.
For me, that's going to be Remember Sports' album because I don't like soda. But I already got the quiz.
I don't know if I can open this.
You need a bottle opener.
Oh, no. I can't even enjoy it. All right, well, we'll get that after.
It'll be okay. Let's
embark on this tofu scramble breakfast wrap.
Oh, the back of my throat feels salty. It's really gross.
Let's go.
I'll go. All right.
You haven't even chewed it.
I can't.
You have to get at least one bite. This is your podcast idea.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to this.
It's everything I don't like in one bite.
It's really bad.
Okay.
Now, you got to think about who wins and loses in situations like this. And I think the people who lose are people who are gluten-free vegetarians. I understand why someone would be both of those things. Whatever your reasons are, you're basically left with eating things like tofu scramble breakfast wrap by Amy's. And it's gluten-free. And it's just that's not a good life to be living because you can't go down to the corner store and get something edible like people who don't have those dietary restrictions can.
I'm shaking my head no.
I feel sorry for people who are in that situation.
Yeah,
because
it's just... You got to be able to cook.
You do.
You got to give yourself that time to plan.
The world is not prepared to take care of those people.
It's a vampire.
Because I can feel it. We've had some weird things so far. on this podcast.
I thought that Evan would like everything we ate.
Because I'm pretty...
Bottomless.
There are certain things I don't like kale and
I like kale.
some nuts and
Bolts.
I mean mainly coconut. I do not like shredded coconut. I can't eat that.
I feel you there.
Well, I guess I can get through it, but it's not fun. I don't like the taste or the consistency. But this was just, there were too many compounding elements of gross going on. The consistency, because it's like, it's tofu instead of egg, because it's, I don't know if it even says that there's egg involved.
It's gotta be vegan, right? No, it's tofu scramble. We're just assuming the egg because it said scramble is what we're doing. But read the ingredients.
Organic tofu, organic soybeans, water, hash browns, onions.
There were supposed to be hash
tomatoes,
browns in there?
spinach. Yeah, so there's no egg.
See, that alarms me because I'm not a picky eater, but I don't often get my vegetables just because I'm too lazy to cook things. All of those vegetables are things that I like. I did not like this.
Oh, you know what? I'm allergic to soy.
Oh my God.
That's why.
We're going to kill Evan on the podcast.
I totally forgot tofu was soy. That's why it feels weird in my throat.
Oh my God. Do you need a Benadryl?
No, I'm good.
If Evan dies in the podcast, no one will be able to edit it. Oh no, I feel really terrible. All right, we need to be better at this.
I was the one who picked it. No, it's fine.
This is true. Evan did pick this.
It's like a really mild allergy, so it's no big deal. It'll go away.
My throat doesn't feel like I'm having an allergic reaction because I've had that before with shellfish, but it feels like I didn't swallow and it's still sliding.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's why I couldn't tell, because it's like whenever I eat an apple or a grape or a cherry.
Are these things you're allergic to?
Yes. You can tell. There's a specific feeling, and like cherries make my lips go numb. Or they did once, and I'm not going to try it again. It's all like fresh ones. I can eat like pie and stuff, so that's good. But this, it sort of mimicked the feeling when something like scratches your esophagus going down, and then so you think that that's still there, even though it's really just like the nerve response to something having irritated it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going on, and it's like either because it's soy or because I've had soy. I'm fine with soy sauce. I think I actually had some tofu the other day and it was fine. But it's like this form for some reason is like slightly too soy-y for me to eat comfortably.
I'm just looking at Evan with a very terrified.
It's a very mild allergy. It's just some throat irritation. I'll be okay.
Okay. Have you ever eaten dried Cheerios and like gotten one stuck in the back of your throat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that. Too many consistencies.
None of them good.
No, much. Like I am a big consistency person.
Mm-hmm. Very consistent.
If we had a vlog of this podcast.
Yeah.
You would have seen that when I took the first bite, I tried not to swallow or chew.
You put it in your mouth and then sort of froze for a second. Like as if you weren't entirely sure what to do with food. Like no one had ever taught you how to eat. You sort of you saw someone put food in their mouth and was like, okay, I bet I could figure this out. But you didn't get that next instruction of like, okay, now I have to manually move this around and then get it out of my mouth.
The idea of, since like consistencies really freak me out, like more so than taste do, like I can deal with a gross taste if the consistency is fine. It's like, oh, I don't think I want another bite, but like whatever. The consistency of this was so strange on my tongue that I didn't want to feel it anymore. So by chewing it, I'd have to feel it, and I just wanted to like, I could feel my mouth filling with saliva as I thought I was gonna like throw up.
The first bite for me wasn't so bad, but I went back for another one because I wanted to, give it a fair shake, and that was really when it got me, because it was that immediate, you place it in your mouth and it's just, this is bad.
The first bite is the deepest.
Yeah.
And grossest.
And grossest.
That's
the same thing about first
It was
cut.
kind of like if somebody had chewed it, spit it into a burrito that had also been like recycled like old paper in a blender, like a pre-K project, and then like packaged and sold. I'm really sorry, Amy's.
Yeah, Amy's, you kind of goofed on this. I
Some,
think...
somebody must like them though, because there were quite a few in the supermarket.
Okay, let's be honest. I think a big part of it is that it's gluten-free because the burrito was the same consistency as the soy. As like the tofu and the wrap were the same consistency, and that's not how you want to do it.
True. I'm also just not a fan of tofu, and we misjudged because we saw scramble and assumed it was tofu and scrambled eggs, which was dumb on our part.
Mm-hmm. Tofu
It was
dumb
just
on my part,
just
not knowing
scrambled
it was
tofu, and my brain, because I love eggs, couldn't compute that you can scramble things besides eggs.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to see a scrambled tofu again.
No, me neither.
I still feel kind of drooly just talking about it.
You want to rate it?
From strange taste to fragrant taste, this was a 1 for me. I'm never going back.
On a scale of 1 to 10, this one is a strange taste.
This is a strange taste.
And it's not just the taste, because the taste is like, it's 3 out of 10 taste-wise, but the consistency is a solid, well, it's a very mushy one. It's a very gross. Tofu is like savory Jell-O. And
when you said that earlier, I really thought I was going to throw up.
Yeah. I kind of regretted saying it because I thought you were going to throw up.
I've eaten and am willing to eat super strange things, have gone to supermarkets where I'm like buying prepackaged instant food that I can't read because it's in a language that I don't know, and been more pleasantly surprised than with this like very reputable brand. We're probably going to get sued.
Yeah. Amy, please email us.
Amy, I love everything else that you make. It's not your fault. It's hard to perfect the gluten-free tofu scramble.
You know what we'll do? I
don't think anyone can do it.
Maybe we'll see if we can find another Amy's Burrito to review at a later date. Maybe revisit something, give them a fair shake. Or not, because they're probably a massive corporation.
No, I won't probably. But I've eaten other Amy's things for sure that it's fine.
They're like they're Mexican bowls and stuff like that.
Yeah, are you ever really, because even like, so we love Hot Pockets, right? But like they're not, they're still just like hot grease.
Yeah.
That's going to burn your mouth and then you can't taste it anyway.
Yeah, apparently you can put them in the oven.
It's still just going to be hot grease that burns your mouth.
That's fair.
So it's probably also just, a burrito should probably never be microwavable.
Yeah.
There's just a whole lot of...
I've had some really good microwavable burritos, though, to be fair.
Is it? Yeah?
I have, yeah.
It's just hard to be a microwave.
Ain't that the truth? Hey, Katie, do you remember sports?
Hey, Evan, I remember sports.
Do you want to talk about a band called Remember Sports?
Let's remember these sports, because you know what that burrito's got me doing?
Trying to forget everything.
I need to go get a drink because I need a slow buzz.
All right. This, I think, might be my favorite thing that we've listened to so far.
It's solid.
I like this a lot.
It's been my go-to album for the past week, really, before I even sent you the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Up From Below.
Yeah.
That was their single, yeah?
I think so.
4 years we spent jumping over this way. We were so scared of change, how we ran through the things. I'm diving under and reaching through, but it's somebody new. I don't know what to do. I always thought that I'd be changed when I got to the surface again, and that we'd be friends. Stay underwater till I work it out, or my lungs give out, or my lungs give out. Below, up from below, below, up from below.
I'm gonna say, as a poet, that I have a real soft spot for things that start and end with the same line.
I was just about to say that. I really like that.
Full circle. Ugh, I try to do it in my writing as much as possible, but I don't want to sound repetitive, but it's always good. That form.
Just bringing it back around. Because the first line often is the most impactful one.
It sets the tone.
Yeah, it really does. And I think if what you're trying to do is cyclical, or in some way itself as a concept comes full circle, it makes sense to do that lyrically and just bring it back to where you were. That's kind of what this song is about. I know you probably went into the lyrics more deeply than I did.
No, I did.
Yeah. You've had a little more time with this one.
Yeah, I've been listening to this album a lot, actually. So kind of the whole album, but more specifically this song, has that like wonderful nostalgic feeling of like teenage young adult angst. I'm still a young adult, but like
True.
when you're 21 and you're really angsty and you're kind of angry, and because of it you're being super creative in whatever it is that you do. Maybe you dyed your hair blue on your birthday because you were sad, and then time moves on, you're up from below, right? You're coming up, you're resurfacing, and then you look back at that like angsty time that you hated when it was happening. And now you're kind of like, oh, actually, I did some good stuff there. And maybe, that sadness was kind of beautiful. And maybe now it's kind of like a warm memory, even if like it wasn't the best, time.
There are a lot of musical elements that I like about this whole album. There are like a few different styles that they employ. And I think the first maybe 6 tracks have like this very garage grunge kind of sound, very folk punk. I mean, the first one that we're not talking about, but otherwise has like these elements that sound very much like lo-fi electronica. There's this one person that I have been listening to a little bit called Deerful. There's a really good cover of a Mountain Goat song, Riches and Wonders, that Deerful does on a Game Boy. And it's really interesting. And that was kind of what I was thinking of with the musical elements of the first track on this album. But Up From Below has this unsnared snare drum. Like, do you know, like, the way a snare drum works is you have a drum and then you've got the little snare things on the bottom.
Yeah.
And you just unhook it and it gives it a different sound. And it's like a harsher sound.
They're like those weird bead things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what the snare is. So when you undo that, you don't have that traditional snare sound. It's very much more like you're hitting a really tight drum. It's a sound that doesn't reverberate as much in the same way that you're thinking of. It has different elements to the sound, and I like that choice. It makes a lot of sense for what they're doing because it feels very lo-fi and fuzzy, but it's they obviously don't need to sound like that because they don't later on the album, but it's an interesting choice that they went for that for like the first 6 tracks. And I just think that really works here. And the guitar on it also sounds like they don't have anything on it. Like they plugged their guitar right in to the amp and just went with whatever sound came out. I don't know if necessarily that's what they did.
I mean, that's punk.
Yeah, exactly. It's really raw.
Yeah, I think the difference is like when you listen to kind of like garagey, punky, poppy tunes, you kind of imagine a nasally man singing. But we have this girl who has like a really cool voice, who's not nasally.
I immediately thought, well, first of all, I have a question. Is this twee? Do you know what twee is?
I mean, it says who's in the band on there.
No. Is this twee? Like, it's a genre.
Oh, I'm pretty sure this is just like Philly punk.
All right.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Email in if this is twee. Because
please let us know.
I've heard twee thrown around, and I still don't entirely know what it is, but I think it's this, and I'm not entirely sure. Like, I think Frankie Cosmos is twee.
You know what? I think you're right, actually. And I like Frankie, and she does kind of have that Frankie vibe.
Yeah, I immediately, especially like I think the second and third track, maybe 4 and 5, I don't remember exactly. They have that sort of Frankie Cosmos vibe where it's very stringy electric guitar, and you have those harmonies, and you have a very strong bass line and catchy motifs.
Let's say, yeah, this could potentially be twee according to the internet.
Yeah, it could just be indie pop. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well, yeah. Okay, so indie pop is, I'll just read to you. The difference is slight, but polarizing. It's from like the tape trading lifestyle. I would say yes, because all of these Philly bands release things on tapes. But I could be wrong. So let us know if we're judging you wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, please write in if this is or is not twee. Because I'm still trying to figure it out, and I just don't know. Because my first impression was this sounds like Frankie Cosmos with Charlie Bliss's vocalist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I listened through the album, and then a Charlie Bliss song came on Spotify, and it was like very clearly different. So it sort of has that element, but it's very clearly not the same thing.
That's the cool thing about music genre too, is you can like take it and bend the rules. So if you're really into like 3 genres, you can like incorporate those things, whether lyrically or sound wise or the way that you mix, your vocals or your instruments.
Exactly. And I was going to touch on that for one of the other songs, in that a couple of the songs later in the album have these elements of country.
Oh, totally.
It showed me something very interesting, which is the vocal style of this band is one that obviously is reminiscent of other bands like Charlie Bliss and Frankie Cosmos and others. It showed that it's actually kind of similar to country vocals. You have that almost yodeling element. I say element a lot. You have that characteristic of vocals.
You have the characteristic of a yodel.
Yeah, I think so. But that thing where they voice break on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
To go up to a note, or to, instead of doing little runs or flare on the note or, trills, instead it's vocal breaks. And you get that a lot in traditional country, and you get it a lot in indie rock and folk punk. And I hadn't really thought about the similarities between them.
It's really easy to forget what traditional country sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're like driving around, you flip through a country station and it's like, it's their version of pop.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah.
So that makes it's totally understandable why it might seem like they're a lot further apart than they actually are. But then you hear an indie pop song that's got banjo in it, or that's got steel lap guitar, and you're like, oh,
mouth harp. We need more mouth harp.
Yeah. But I just wanted to touch on one more thing from Up From Below, which is just at the end. I like when a band takes a chorus and just right at the end tacks on another line that builds on the
meaning.
On the meaning, yeah, but also just on maybe the rhyme scheme.
Okay.
Or separates the rhyme scheme and adds a little internal rhyme. So up from below, where else can we go from this mess that we made of our situation? Below, up from below. With this sort of internal structure of this and made and situation, and I just really like that kind of.
Yeah.
You take this rhyme structure that you're doing. That's all it is in the chorus. It's just things that rhyme with below, and it's a great chorus, by the way. I do really like this chorus. But then you just put a little something else in there. You put a little cream filling in that chocolate cake, and it has a whole nother element, because you are enjoying this chocolate cake. It's great. And then you're like, oh,
yeah,
there's something else there.
Well, it's also great because, so again, as a poet, there's a lot of, at least for me as a writer, when I'm writing, because I read a lot of I've read a lot of contemporary stuff, a lot of the traditional stuff. And you find that most of the stanzas and the verses, etc., are like the same amount of lines and there's like a very specific pattern. And this, you still get a very specific pattern, but they have like 2 verses before they hit their chorus of Below Up From Below. And then they have like a smaller verse in between, and then they add it on to their chorus at the end.
Yeah.
And it still feels complete, and it doesn't feel weird, and it doesn't feel like they were changing things.
Yeah.
And I, stylistically, really like that.
Yeah, you just do something slightly different with your structure.
But that's like what
but you
punk
do it
is.
Yeah, exactly. You just do whatever you want. You're like, hey, I only have 5 lines written for this. Just let's do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I can repeat things because that's all pop music is, and people will know all the words, and the show will be really fun.
Exactly. I'm already singing Up From Below.
And I know that Evan is just like chilling so happily because
Yes, I was about to say
you have the
this.
lyrics on your Bandcamp.
Finally. I love... thank you, Remember Sports, all of your members, specifically the person or people who said we should 100% have our lyrics up on the Bandcamp. I don't care if it's a little extra work. It is so good to be able to read along. And it's not like it's not understandable. They're enunciating everything. You can hear what they're saying, but it's still a lot easier to make things out and to concentrate on it when we can read it. Now, I wanted to move on a little bit from the style of the first 6 tracks, because I remember listening to this the first time and I was thinking, I got to track 6 and I thought, these are good, but it's kind of been the same thing for a while. I was like, all right, Remember Sports, give me something different. I was just thinking that.
Give me something new to remember.
Exactly. And then I hit track 7, The One Bad Man, and it was something different.
See, I was the opposite. I was like, okay, I'm expecting this to be kind of like bedroom punky. And so I was like, yep, that's what it is. Really fun. And then I hit track 7 and I was like, oh.
We're doing something else.
We're doing something else.
But we can do other things.
So we're sauntering down the road, ahead is clear. So much warmer the last time you were here. And I know, and I know, and I know that I'm not being fair. I just want you there, yeah. Oh my God, I'm petrified. We're so happy we could die. What could be more dignified? Stick a needle in my eye.
And you don't really have to do a huge amount to keep things fresh, because it really isn't incredibly separated from the style of the previous tracks, but you have these other elements, and then you start paying attention more, like, okay, they're gonna surprise me with things.
Yeah.
I guess it would technically be the bridge, I believe, but the part where the vocalist is just repeating and a no and a no, you know. That's so country. It's just,
Yeah.
it feels so country. It's the delivery.
Yeah, she's
you
got
know,
that a little bit
very
of that twang.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of a
very
yodel, I'm gonna
folky.
say a twang.
Okay, you can say twang.
When I think yodel, I think of like the Swiss Alps.
That's the twee twang.
Yodelaytweehoo. Yodelaytweehoo. I'm full of bad jokes tonight. And I know I'm bad joker.
Oh,
Actually, I love this song and I put some notes on it, but listening to it just now with you again, that's how I felt about the burrito we ate. Oh my God, I'm petrified. But this album made me real happy.
yeah, I like this.
Definitely swallowed my pride swallowing that one. But no, again, this one lyrically, it's like those songs that are just so happy to be sad, you know?
I like that.
They're just so happy to be sad, and it's fine because that's what life is sometimes, you know? It's weird and cosmic, and I feel like pretty much anybody could listen to this song and think of a time in their life where they're like, yeah. And that makes me sound like I'm straight out of Dazed and Confused. But no, it's that ability to be unique in what you're doing, but like still resonate with your listeners. So that if somebody that wasn't into punk went with their friend to a house show, would be like, oh, like, dude, these guys are sick.
Yeah, for sure. Setting up a lyrically sad song with sad music is fine, but
It's just better when it's not.
yeah, I think sometimes it helps express that there are layers to emotions like that. That being afraid and wanting to die doesn't always express itself as
Moaning.
Yeah, it doesn't express itself as depression and weeping and sitting in a corner by yourself, not moving. It can also be just with you, and it can also come out as anger, and it can come out in all of these different
Or it
ways.
can come out in jealousy or just like, sometimes it comes out in nothing.
Right, exactly. You just know it's there.
Yeah. It's like a weird hug.
Tell me about that.
So there's a word. I was literally just talking to this guy I know, Seth, the other day about it, and I can't remember, and I could look it up. But so like when you have depression, we'll say, or something makes you uncomfortable or uncertain in a way, if you can get to the point where you can know that it's there and be comfortable in that discomfort, and then like identify it and be like, oh, I'm uncomfortable in this, but it is what it is. I'm, for the most part, fine.
Yeah.
And like continue to do things, like that's where you want to be.
I agree. Because it's totally fine to have feelings and thoughts about things that are unpleasant, but the most important thing is to not let it affect things in a negative way for a long period of time.
Yeah. I mean, I'll speak
If you can.
personally.
Sure.
If I may.
That's a good idea.
I'm just discovering at like 25, I'm about to be 26 in like 2 weeks, that like emotions are okay.
Yeah.
And for a long time, and even now, still, and probably forever, I make nothing but deprecating jokes about myself. I have said like, oh, I'm a void of emotion. Like, oh, I feel nothing. But that's such a lie.
It is tough to make self-deprecating jokes about other people.
I mean, you'd be surprised. But just this past weekend, I told you I went on a terrible date.
Yeah.
And some guy told me my bangs were ironic.
I don't even know what that means.
Nobody does, but I told him that they were my emotion shield. Because what do you say to that?
Some people wear their emotions on their sleeves, and you wear yours on your forehead.
Damn, they just cry all the time. Like, I don't have a poker face. So, like, hearing music where people can parse through these thoughts and emotions that are incredibly complex and make these, like, beautiful things, I just find so nice. The first time I listened to this album, I cried in my bed.
Oh, yeah.
Just because that's something that I feel like a lot of people try to do in their music, and they create something that's authentic, but I don't know.
It's hard to be authentic and
It's hard to be
encapsulate an emotion and also make music that's enjoyable to listen to.
It is hard to do all those things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, try or like, maybe the thing with smaller bands like we've been reviewing so far is that like they're creating their own lyrics versus like other people who have lyrics given to them.
Yeah,
And so that's why, we find them to be so personal.
absolutely.
And then it's done with punk. And if you haven't heard, it's like my favorite genre of music.
Yeah, I like punk. The only issue is that a lot of people who do punk aren't good at making music.
Yeah, it's just because they're like, oh, it's just noise.
Because you have all of these people.
And you have all this freedom.
Exactly. People are like, it's punk. You can do whatever you want. It's like, yeah, okay, but
Like, I see what
you
you
can also
did there
try
when
and
you
hit
said
notes
3
if you wanted
words.
to. Just because you can do what you want doesn't mean you shouldn't try to make something that is enjoyable to listen to. That's all I'm saying.
And maybe you do find it enjoyable to listen to,
Yeah, I
but
guess,
maybe you could try to play the same song the same way twice. Not all punk bands. I just feel like it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm in a punk band.
It is. It's one of the easier.
I'm gonna
genres
get beat
to
up
do.
now.
I don't
I'm
think
gonna
that's.
be walking to school. Some 12th, no, not even 12th grade, some 8th grade kid.
One of your students.
One of the kids from my school is going to be like, I heard what you said about punk.
And then you're like, okay.
And then I'd be like, tell me about it, punk. No, I would never say that.
And then they're probably gonna
steal my lunch money.
But then they're gonna go home and cry.
I'll go home and cry.
And then everyone will be even.
Well, I'll be crying at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't take anything I say personally. I love punk music.
I think punk can be good. I do, however, think it is a genre where the minimum amount of talent it takes to produce something that qualifies as it is lower than other genres. Like
you're gonna get beat up.
But you also can't. I don't think that that's unfair to say. Like if you're gonna try and do jazz, you have to be good at that genre. If you're gonna try and do rap, you have to be able to like string sentences together. I guess, I mean, there are lower thresholds, but it's like to say that it can be considered in that genre at a lower threshold maybe is the wrong way to say it. Maybe it's people will consider it good for less quality.
Because the freedom.
Right, because that ability to do whatever you want, even if you aren't skilled at your instrument or at singing or at writing lyrics, but you have that energy.
Yeah,
people are going to respect
punk is kind of all about the energy. Let's be honest.
Which is fine. I think energy is super important and it's underutilized in a lot of genres. I would rather take good music with no energy over good energy with bad music.
Hey, Evan.
Yeah, what's up?
Remember sports?
I do. Do you remember their song No Going Back?
I think we need to make it right. But I do know No Going Back, and that's...
No, going back to this song.
Wave goodbye to Silver Springs with my face against the window. I watch you float away from me. I'm not going back. You're not coming back. You were the one and I wasn't okay. And if you're not the one and I'm still not okay, then there's no going back. I'm not going back. You're not coming back.
This song kind of feels like Up From Below Revisited, or Up From Below Part 2. And I just noticed this, that the first line of both is talking about constellations.
I found your sign in the sky last night. I'm the sun that you keep in the back of your mind. With all of the things you I see you up in the constellations, like the freckles on your arms.
Yeah, well, one is about, like, star signs.
Right, and this one is about, I mean, that's what a
Yeah.
star sign is. It's a
Yeah.
constellation.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Oh, it sounded
sorry.
like you were like being contrarian.
No, I just really love space.
Don't we all?
And constellations are, like, a big part of my relationship with my dad. So anytime anything is, like, not talking about them in a cheesy way, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, but I find that this song is similar in a lot of ways. This is like an expanded look at the same kind of topic. And it takes me a while to really dig into the lyrics of verses, just because I tend to find it hard to pay attention.
Well, you're a music person.
Right.
I'm usually listening to the words.
Yeah, exactly. I
Taking my
appreciate
job.
good lyrics, but it really isn't the first thing that I'm looking at. It's weird. Bad lyrics can ruin a song for me, but good lyrics can't necessarily make a song for me. You know, they can bring it over the edge, but if a song sounds bad, but it says good things, I'm not interested. You know, but if it is a good sounding song and the lyrics are terrible, I might be able to give it a miss, but I also probably won't go to it as much as one that does both well, obviously. I think that's standard.
I'm going to say two things that don't make much sense together.
Okay.
One, She sounds like the female singer in the Cranberries in the song.
Yeah.
2, you know when
I
you're
was thinking
10
that. Okay. 10 years
and you find your mom's international super hits album? Green Day. International super hits, Green Day. Look, it's all my mom listened to when she was pregnant for my sister. Anyway,
Okay.
You're listening to that album. It's got a ton of tracks on it. And you kind of forget that it's in the CD player until Macy's Day Parade comes on.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, this is almost like a ballad, not a punk song.
Right. I think that's a really interesting thing. One of the things that I thought about this is how well they use the length of the song. And that it is basically a 5-minute song. I mean, technically it's listed for 59, but it's basically 5 minutes.
And the way they at the very end, when they re-hit the chorus for the second time.
I love that because it just drags the tiniest bit and it feels like it's just forcing itself along. It's such a cool musical element. And I gotta stop saying music. I gotta find a new thing.
You gotta find a new word, yeah.
I just think that's so good.
I
There's
think
just something about you expect it to hit at this time, and it's just a little behind the beat, and it feels like it's dragging, but it's for a good reason.
Yeah, it's since we have the whole visual of leaving, the song is about leaving, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A place and a person. It seems.
How long it takes.
Yeah, those moments when you're driving away from somewhere and you're sad, or not even sad, but just
Wistful.
nostalgic, wistful. Sometimes that I get very homesick when I leave.
Yeah.
So that pull out of the driveway feels so much longer than it is. And for the next 2 miles, you have this weird kind of feeling in you, and you're like, oh, I could turn around and say bye to my dog again,
Right.
but I can't.
It feels like you left something there, but that something is
it's a feeling.
Your emotional connection.
Yeah.
And it just takes a while before it kind of snaps off.
Yeah. So to
and you
me,
can
this
move
is
on.
I'm sure I'm not the only person that does this. I'm sure people do this all the time. But as a kid, I thought I was the only person that leaned my head against windows and imagined the treetops in a music video.
Yeah.
Very slowly as B-roll, which is maybe why I'm good at shooting B-roll now.
Right, yeah.
Because it's all I thought about. But I can see all this B-roll footage in my head to this song, which is great. It's the only song that hasn't given me a weird music video vibe in my brain. Mm-hmm. Just nice.
It's just kind of, it's blank.
Yeah, some trees.
Very.
Some Pennsylvanian trees. And there's all these nice visuals in there too, though. The constellations, freckles on someone's arm, that's so familiar and nice. And, it can feel it all around me, moving past me like a breeze. These are all obviously feelings that everybody feels.
Right.
And we get things like sunset and things that are really pretty, which is kind of the opposite of what we kind of get in a lot of punk visuals.
Right. It's very sweet.
Yeah. It's a nice way to... It's not the last song on the album.
It feels like it could be.
But
though.
it feels like it could be, and...
I was just thinking that.
Not that I'm telling you to rearrange anything, because definitely don't. But if it was, it'd be a nice stamp on the end.
For sure. Yeah. There's a big... I mean, honestly, if you started with Up From Below, if you just did tracks 2 to 10... I think it would be fine. I mean, Otherwise is good.
Well, the last 2 songs are really good. They could just again, not telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But if they sandwich them in the middle, it would almost kind of sound like this narrative about a person getting over a thing. Because you get a lot of angst.
For
you get
sure.
a lot of angst in Otherwise. And Up From Below as well. And this song seems to resolve those feelings in some way.
A lot of the time when you have indie pop, indie folk punk, folk rock, you end up with people talking about sad things and how angry it makes them, or you get people talking about sad things and how sad it makes them. And this is interesting because it's just sort of talking about the sad thing and describing it. It's really in the emotion.
And with
I
normalcy, showering and brushing your teeth and things that are actually weird and make you feel alone. I lived with someone in college kind of, and when we stopped seeing each other and they left a toothbrush at my parents' house, it was what do I do with your toothbrush?
Yeah.
Do I throw it out? Because the absence of it is going to be weird.
Right.
But the memory of it every morning is weirder.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that brings in all these like tiny normal things. Oh, I'm getting so existential. It's probably because it's like midnight.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
We ate a burrito that made us sad. The burrito really upset my stomach, and now it's just full of emotions. And
I did have a nice Pepsi, though. A nice Mexican Pepsi, and that is keeping me going.
if you eat food that you're allergic to, sometimes it makes you emotional. Like if I eat dairy, I get really sad.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because this reminds me of I sort of see myself in these songs sometimes, but then I think about it and I'm like, oh no, I'm the person that they're singing about. I'm the bad one in this situation. That's always how I end up. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of a situation I was in. Oh wait. But it's not like
I caused that.
I don't get to feel bad about it. But not like in a super cruel way, just in a like.
Evan's really vain.
I just listen to a lot of female vocalists, so it's like a little harder for me to put myself in those shoes because it just so happens that the songs that I've listened to that are about breakups from female vocalists don't connect to me in the same way that I think that they would with the person that I was formerly in a relationship with.
I see.
So it's not like I feel like I'm being made the
like,
villain.
Did they leave their toothbrush in your house? Did you have to look at it? Was it weird?
That's true. I guess they didn't. But it's like...
Well, I mean, it could be anything. Like if you found a bobby pin and a weird feeling you got from it like a month later, because obviously not yours.
Yeah, or matching underwear, you know?
Oh, yeah, or matching underwear. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot of weird things like that. Or like keys that you made for someone. That's a strange one.
True. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or like things that, like I was in a long distance relationship at one point. And so like a lot of things, I just never got back because it was like 6 hours away.
Yeah, for sure.
And so then I have like, still sometimes I'm like, where's that? Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
It's... Who knows where it is now? It's probably like in a Salvation Army.
And it's like, who doesn't end a relationship without like the other person having some of your clothes?
Yeah.
Or like I've got a picture that my high school girlfriend did just like on the wall of my dad's house because he just bought it from an art show she did. And it's sometimes I look at him like, oh, that's strange.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. In high school, I dated this guy who proposed to me, actually. I said no. We broke up. And he used to go to my parents' house for dinner.
Good call.
So I came home months, maybe 6 months after we broke up, like a long time. And they had like flowers that he bought them. He was like coming over for dinner every Sunday.
Wow.
It was so bizarre. So there are so many weird feelings, I think, for both parties. So even though you feel like you're like the bad guy that people are singing about, I don't know. I feel like even if you're the person doing the breaking up or you're the person that you feel like other people are feeling sad about, I feel like both parties probably feel sad in different ways.
That's what it is. It's there are different types of sadness depending on how things shake out. And
we're therapists now.
I don't feel, it's not like I feel like the bad guy. I just feel like because this isn't the type of song where it's like I hate you now. It's the type of song where things didn't work out and I'm sad in this way and you're sad in that way.
Yeah.
You know? And it makes me think about it from the other person's perspective. And I always appreciate that because it is hard for me to think about things from other people's perspectives. So I like being given the opportunity to do that.
Watch us be like totally wrong and...
Yeah, maybe this is sort of just about constellations and just how constellations change over time. And that's why there's Ophiuchus in the horoscope.
And that's why he's staring blankly, because he's just a constellation.
Exactly.
And maybe they're aliens and they have to go back to their home planets.
Yeah. So please listen to this album and write in and let us know if you think we're completely wrong.
Or just what you think in general.
Yeah, exactly. What
we
do
can
you
talk
think?
about it.
Are you allergic to tofu? Have you ever eaten something and then halfway through you realized you were allergic to it?
That's why the song Killer Tofu was written.
All the time. I genuinely start eating things and I'm like, oh, wait, because I developed these allergies later in life. Because they're like related to my pollen allergy that I also developed later in life. And so now it's like, oh, okay. what's up, Evan? This summer, you can't eat blueberries anymore. Oh, okay.
See, now, I will hopefully maybe, I can't say for certain, never offend a band that we listen to too much. If Evan ever offends a band, I will offend you by pronouncing your name wrong, by saying the wrong thing, by being generally stupid because I'm no musician. Evan is really educated in this kind of thing, more so than I am. So if he offends you, I'll just roll him in pollen. And if I offend you, he'll feed me shellfish secretly. We share the email account.
Just little shrimps, just tucked under your pillow.
Little brine shrimps. He'll drop them in my ear canal.
It's true, I will. Sea monkeys.
Oh, God.
Sea monkeys, more like hear monkeys, because they're in your ear and you hear them.
The Christmas present I got, 3rd grade,
Yeah.
sea monkeys. They like repopulate in that little jar thing for a while.
Of course.
Mine all died, obviously. I didn't realize, so I shook it. I created like a little tornado.
Yeah.
And sea monkey skeletons just spun around in the little tornado like some sort of like hellish depiction of ghosts from like Hercules when he drops Meg into like the underworld.
Sure.
Oh, it was terrifying.
Oh, I bet it was very scary for them.
Someone should write a punk song about that. No, they were just skeletons. They were dead. They didn't care.
Okay.
But I cared.
Maybe that's your next poem.
Maybe. But remember sports. We'll remember you.
And when I say that punk is easy to do, that doesn't mean it's easy to do well. I think Remember Sports has created the best non-mainstream punk album that I've heard. If they want to consider this punk. If this is twee, then it's the best of that. I just think this is a really good album.
And the album, we didn't even talk about the album art. It's cool. It looks like it's embroidered. There's like a little bit of lace. It's these nice purple tones that kind of, if you have synesthesia, I bet half these songs feel purple.
Right.
And they kind of do feel purpley.
Let me know what genre you are so I can correctly quantify where you are.
Yeah, so you
as
can
the
email
best
us at
album of whatever that I've heard.
PizzaMyHeartPod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we love you. And next time you're in Brooklyn, I'll go check you out live.
We'll buy you a burrito.
We will, a better one than the one we ate because I'm looking at the packaging right now. It actually says it's a wrap.
Yeah. Not a burrito.
So you know what, Evan?
What?
I think that's a wrap.
This has been Pizza My Heart.
See ya. Pizza out.